Hey there, welcome back, or not welcome back actually. So here's a video. I just wanted to clarify. So why not clarify, give you some extra practice or help you out with the assignment questions. What is this? Question number 5. We have to complete the square and determine what the vertex is. Yeah, so I have some questions about this. So let me just help you out here. So I've got 3 questions here, very similar to the ones that you see in the practice questions, but not exactly the same. But we're just going to go through and see how can we solve these. There we go. How can we solve these? Getting the vertex, essentially. I don't want to solve everything else, like what's the min and max and all of this stuff. I just want to figure out, can I determine where the vertex of these by completing the square? All right, so I got these 3 questions here, but just 1 second. I'm just going to move some of these out of the way so that I have some more space to do the questions here. All right. First question here. Let's see what we got. So remember, when we want to complete the square, we want to set it up. Essentially, we want it in vertex form. Because once we have it in vertex form, which has the p and the q, remember we have x, we have the a in the front, we have the x minus p, and then we have the plus q. If I know the p and the q, that's my vertex. So I need to figure out those 2 pieces. So that's the whole point of this completing the square, so I can figure out the vertex. And if I needed to find some more information about which way is it opening, is it narrow or wide, what's the domain, what's the range, axis of symmetry, all that stuff. That's all related to the vertex and the a value here. So if you remember from our classes, and so this always going to be like about 3 lines of work here. Whatever value is in the front here, that's the a value all the way down here. So you notice this is x squared, so that this is going to be just a 1, because you can't see it here, but you imagine there's a 1 there. So I know my a value is going to be a 1. I'm just going to put that there. It seems kind of redundant, but I'm just going to put that there anyway. Okay, so I'm going to factor the 1 out. It doesn't really do too much. Remember, factoring is just dividing. So I'm dividing everything by 1. That doesn't do too much. And I'm just going to leave myself a little space here between the 5 and the 6x here, the negative 6x. And remember that we had to add or subtract a number here to make this work. So what I could do is I could jump right down to the last line here. So this p value, after the factoring job, so after I factor out the 1, I take this middle value, the b, remember this is like an a, b, c, take the b value divided by 2. All right, so this is just going to be negative 3. So right now, what we know is my vertex is at 3, because remember the negative tells us that moves to the right. Sorry, I'm just getting over a sickness. Hopefully, by class on Monday after this week, I'll be feeling better, hopefully. All right. So I know vertex is going to be a 3. Now we just have to figure out what this q value is. That's the more difficult one. So remember, if I were to square this out, so remember, I'll just put this on the side here. Let's put this on the side. So if I go x minus 3 squared, that's the same as saying x minus 3 times x minus 3. If I were to multiply this out, I get x minus 3. Then I get a negative 3x and negative 3x, so I get negative 6x. So that's where this 6x comes from. That's why we use the 3. That we get this, so that's a check mark on that. But then I'm going to go negative 3 times negative 3, and I get a 9. All right? Now the 9, I don't see a 9 up here. I see a plus 5, but I don't see a 9. So that's where we run into a little problem. I want a 9 here, but I don't have a 9 up here. So I'm just going to add 1 in. I'm just going to say, okay, I'll put a 9 right here. But that 9 didn't exist. It was a 5, but not a 9. So because it didn't exist, I'm going to have to subtract it as well. I'm going to minus it out. Okay? So essentially, I'm just adding 0. Doesn't really do too much to add 0. I'm not going to put them together, because if I went 9 minus 9, it's gone. What's the point? So rather than adding and subtracting those 9s together, make a 0, I'm going to take the negative 9 that we have here and the 5 and put those together. So 5 minus 9 is negative 4. All right, I'll put a negative 4 there. Hopefully you can see that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 1 that's in the front here, multiply it with that -4 and pop it out of this. Remember, you always have to pop it out of the brackets because it wasn't in the brackets here. Here's the brackets. It stops at the 9. So I need that bracket there. I need to pop this number out. But 1 times -4 is just -4, so that doesn't change too much. So now there's a -4 sitting on the outside here. There's a -4 sitting on the outside here. And therefore, my y value, because remember, this is the q value that tells us how much the graph has moved up and down. So it's moved down 4 units. There we go. We got a vertex. If you want to, you can confirm it. I just pull up my Desmos here. My graphing calculator, I should say. Everyone has different graphing calculators. I'll just use the Desmos graphing calculator. Sorry, I'm just going to move it to the other side here. X squared minus 6x plus 5. So x squared minus 6x plus 5 is 3 -4. 3 -4 is that what we have? Yeah, 3 -4. So confirmed or verified. There you go. Put a little check mark on that. Okay, so we're going to follow the same steps for the next one here. So I'm just going to go through. If you want to, you can pause the video at any time to try that yourself. Sorry. So pause it, try it out. If not, just kind of follow along. So I'm going to put my 3 lines here. So there's 2 here. I'm going to factor the 2 out. So that's going to be my a value. I'm going to divide everything by 2. Now, there are certain procedures here, or different methods, where essentially you don't have to divide the 170 by 2. You can just leave it out of the brackets. By doing so, you just kind of bypass a step. I like to leave it inside the brackets, divide everything by 2, because that's what factoring is. You factor out something, you factor everything. You don't just pick and choose. I'm just going to I'm just getting my calculator out on my phone, essentially. I'm going to start dividing things by 2. So you always force it out. So even if you can't divide everything by 2, divide everything by 2. You get a decimal or a fraction, that's fine. So you get x squared here, because 2 divided by 2 is 1. And then you get 36 divided by 2, you get 18x, okay. And then I'm going to leave myself a little space here. 170 divided by 2. I'm sure I could have done that in my head. You know what? I'm just too lazy right now. Okay. And there we go. So we follow those same steps we had before. Take this middle number here. We divide it by 2. Put it in this spot, including the sign. So like up here, it was -6, it became -3. Here is positive 18, so it's positive 9. That's okay. And then if I were to multiply this out, I would get x squared plus 18x, that's the whole point, plus 81. And then that's what my bracket would end. So if I were to multiply this bottom piece, you put that over here if you want to. So x plus 9 times x plus 9, x squared. There's another 9x there. There's a 9x there. And then a 9 times 9 gets me this 81. So these two in the middle give me that 18x. And then I got the 9 times 9 is 81 there. Now there's no 80, it's close, it's 85, but not 81. So I'm going to have to put an 81 here, but I got to minus the 81 as well. Make sure I don't really change the equation. Then I'm going to take these two, add them together, or subtract them, I guess. You're always going to subtract this second number anyway. So subtract them. So I get 4. Right? I'm going to take this 2, multiply with that 4, and pop it up, because that bracket's got to stop right here. So that bracket's got to go right here eventually. This has got to pop out. Right? So that becomes an 8. 2 times 4 is 8. It's positive. I go plus 8. And then I go plus 8. Then I just go back to my calculator. Oh, sorry. Before I do that, maybe I should write down what I think the vertex is going to be. So the plus 9 tells me that's moving left 9 units. So that's -9. And the plus 8 tells me it's going up 8 units. So I think it's going to be -9, 8. I'll pull out my graphing calculator, which I closed. Oh, no, I didn't close it. Okay. It just looks like it's closed. So I'm going to put in the original equation. I don't want to do the completed square formula because what if I did something wrong? Let's confirm that I did something wrong or right here. So let's see. That's my graph calculator. Now the problem is you can't see it very well. Negative 9/8. So negative 9. Oh, there it is up here. Okay, negative 9/8. Yeah, there it is, negative 9/8. Cool. Working out pretty good. So let's put that down. I'll check mark on that. Awesome. Okay. And here's another one. Let's just do a little practice here. Remember, you can pause this. You try it yourself, or just watch me do it. I'm going to factor out the -5. So this time I'm going to have to make sure to factor out the negative as well. If there's a negative in front, so if you notice you just had a negative x squared, factor the negative out as well. That tells me what my a value happens to be. I'm going to factor the negative out. Remember, that means you're dividing by a negative. So negative 15 divided by -5 is positive 3. Okay, it seems like we're going to get some kind of fraction here. And then here, we have this negative. Oh, it's going to be positive now because two negatives make a positive. 59/5. So it's not a very nice number. You can see some of the methods that don't divide the last number by 5, they pop it out. Because what's going to happen is you're going to just take this, multiply it with that number, and pop it out eventually. Some people just don't factor it out. Anyway, this is what I do. It's a fraction. We have a calculator that deals with fractions, so why not? So my bottom line here, we're going to have x plus, and here I want to divide this by 2. So the rule still works. You take this, you divide it by 2. You take this one, divide it by 2, including the sign. So if it's positive or negative, keep it negative. If it's positive, keep it positive. This is positive 3 now. So I'm going to divide it by 2, which is going to be 3/2 or 1.5. Because it terminates, because it's a terminating decimal, or then just write down the decimal if you want to. But this is fine. Okay, so now if I were to multiply this out, it's just on the side here, you'll see that there's a pattern. Right? The whole point of this is that there's a pattern. You got x squared there. You got 1.5x there, so 3/2 x, plus another 3/2 x, plus 3/2 times 3/2, which is 9/4. You times the tops, you times the bottoms. So essentially, you're just squaring the top, you're squaring the bottom. So what we get is x squared plus, because 1.5 plus 1.5 is 3, so that's good. That's what we wanted. Plus is 9/4 here. So I want this bracket right here, but also I want that 9/4. So I'll show you the color. I want to close that bracket off there eventually, but we don't do it now. I'm going to put those two numbers here. I'm going to add or subtract that same number because I can't change it by just adding 9.5. I actually just want to add 0. Add 9.4 or 9/4, sorry. You subtract 9/4. All right. Then we take this piece, subtract them or add them, whatever you're going to have to do here. Let's see. Oh, I have a calculator. Oh, my calculator doesn't do decimals. Or it does decimals, but it doesn't do fractions very well. If I pull up this calculator, it might just take me a little bit of time here. See, while it does that, I'll just. Okay. So, I'll hide this out of the way. What do we have here? We got 59/5. 59/5. That didn't work too well. 59/5. And I'm going to minus 9/4. Right? It's a nice positive number. I'm going to go math, enter. That's fine. So 191 over, that's not a very good number. I'll go 9.55 for now. Okay, so this becomes 9.55. Okay, so then you take this number, you got to pop it out of the bracket. So you want this bracket right here that doesn't exist. So I'm going to pop this out of the brackets. So I got to go -5 times this number. Go back to the calculator. Times -5. It's not going to leave as a it's going to leave as a fraction. You can leave as a fraction if you want. You can change it back to a decimal. So you go to math number 2 here. This is dec. So you can change that to a decimal. So that. So either one of these two answers I'm going to put the decimal, negative 47.75, because it does terminate. So negative 47.75. Negative 47.75. There we go. So now once we've got everything here, you notice that the negative just tells me it's opening down. The 5 tells me it's narrow. And then the vertex, these other two numbers here. So the plus tells me it's moving to the left. That means this is negative 3/2 or 1.5, since I don't want to mix fractions and decimals here. And then the negative 47.75 tells me it moves down. 47.75. Yeah. I'll pull my calculator, my graphic calculator here. I'm going to just test to see if we do that correctly. Okay, so my down to the negative 47. So I'm going to have to zoom out here a little bit. Oh, there it is right there. Yeah, those are the same numbers. Negative 1.5 and negative 47.75. I did something correct here, so that's awesome. Put a little check mark on that, and we're done. So there, it's always going to be a 3-step method. Always factor that first number, including the sign. So if it is negative, when you factor the negative out, everything just changes their sign. So now they're all positive. The last line, you always take that middle term after the factoring job. You divide it by 2. This number is always the square of that last number. You notice that it's just the same number times itself. That's how you get that number there. That's always the square. This middle number here just doesn't change. There's 3 here, it's 3 here. And then from there, you add or subtract that same number, you pop it out, and then you're done. And then once you have that, you can get your vertex. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully, yeah, the questions of the thing, they seem about the same difficulty. So hopefully that does help. If you have any other questions, send me an email, and I will hopefully get back to you on those. All right. Bye.